Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Hello and welcome to I Am Home, the Home Life Best Life podcast. I'm Tyler Weiskup. Unfortunately, we don't have Becca today, but my other co-host is here, the shining star all our past guests revere. It's Hilary Walternap.
Hey, Tyler.
Hi, Hilary. This episode, I'm personally thrilled for because their vibe is just the pickup that I needed this week. We're talking to really like two beaming lights of the internet, Lindsay, Stewart, and Kendell Stiles from the Kendell and Lindsay Show. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited.
Of course. We're going to talk to them about what their show's all about. They're cooks and designers and creators, and there's just so much fun stuff to kind of get into. But before we do that, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast, and that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles, because your home life should be your best life, and you can learn more at nfm.com. Okay, so again, big welcome to our special guests, Lindsay, Stewart, and Kendell Stiles. I do have like little quick bios for you that I just want to kind of level set for our listeners. And then feel free to kind of hop in if there's anything that you want to add to kind of the things that I pulled together. So let's start with Lindsay Stewart. She's a creative force who celebrates all things home. She's worn many hats. You've been an entrepreneur, artist, writer, actor, fashionista, and since 2021, you've channeled all of that experience into this like really kind of crazy move from New York City to Texas, where you're renovating and decorating this home and kind of sharing your experiences with the world, and it looks amazing. So that's Lindsay. Yeah. I'm and Kendell, you are the chief creator behind Kendell Creations, a trained culinary chef with 20 years in restaurant kitchens. And I thought it was really interesting, like the way that you kind of came back to cooking was rediscovering what you spent this like year rediscovering your love for cooking by cooking through the Joanna Gaines Magnolia Table Cookbook in volume 1, because there's multiple volumes at this point. So
now there's 3, but I've cooked all of the first one.
Okay, you've done the first one.
Yeah.
I'm doing your bio, but are there plans for 2s and 3s, or you're like, 1 was enough?
I've dabbled through them, but we'll see if I get through all of them. But I've done a few of them.
Excellent. Okay. And you're sharing your renewed passion for cooking with the world, and you're doing it through your blog, through your social media, and of course the Kendell and Lindsay Show.
Yep.
And I wonder if that's like the natural place for us to start. Because again, I do think that the show is like this breath of fresh air. All the things that we need in the world today, really. And you're both really delightful on it. Yeah, absolutely. And I understand it came together, like, was it just like a little over a year ago? You were like online friends who started an offline relationship and then came up with this idea.
I think it was fall a year and a half ago, wasn't it, Kendell?
Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we were both taking classes through an online platform called Good Influencer to learn how to do content creation, to navigate contracts, to learn how to pitch a brand. And we kind of connected in a Facebook group associated with that, realized we were both in North Texas. And I just fell in love with him online. And then one day we decided we should make this like serious.
Well, we started to chat, and, we followed each other. We were chatting, in, I think, Instagram DMs. And then all of a sudden we were like, oh, we're both in the DFW area. And we said, where are you in relation, because it's a pretty big space.
Yeah, definitely.
And we realized, we're like 25, 30 minutes away from each other. And we're like, well, that's close enough to get together. Like we should meet, and
it was like it was meant to be almost.
It was. And we've just embodied it. It's a line that I love that Lindsay said. And I'm like, we have to stick with that, is taking online friendships offline. And we just have embodied that ever since the first time we got to meet.
And we've been having so much fun encouraging other people because we know, I mean, content creators often work remotely, they work from home, reclusive behavior sometimes lurks.
Yeah.
And you can become super comfortable and confident, like keeping to yourself and staying your own lane.
Right.
And as someone who moved from New York City and our lives were outside of our apartments, Texas is a completely different beast for me. And it wasn't that I mean, I've made friends, but it was just something I was not familiar with. And so I think Kendall and I both discussed for quite a while. It really took a lot of courage for the two of us to step out of our comfort zones and be brave and vulnerable to see, you know, like, what's this going to be like? But I remember the first time Kendall came over, we invited him up we're going to make fluffernutter, the cookies from the Joanna.
Yeah, my fluffernutter cookies.
Yours, yes, your cookie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why don't you come up and stay, you know, for dinner? And so Josh and I surprised Kendall and made him dinner from his blog.
Yeah, recipes from my website.
Because
Oh,
you know,
nice.
he's the home chef, and so we surprised him making his dinner, and we offered him his first martini.
Yeah.
But when he got there, we were visiting, and it was kind of awkward at first, not really, but just a little. And I was like, did your parents, like, how are they that you're going up to meet someone you've met on the internet? And they were like, but they say, get out of there if you have to, phone us if you need anything.
Yeah, they were like, let us know where you are.
Yeah,
You
put
know,
your
call us when you get
location
there.
on.
Like, let us know that everything's okay once you show up, you know, because you're meeting someone from the internet.
And going into their house.
Yeah.
You stayed
Yeah.
for hours, and it was so much fun.
And then, yeah, we just talked all night and had dinner and just enjoyed. And it's
and ate cookies. You
And
fell in
it's
love
just
with our kids. They
been-
fell in love with you.
yep,
Oh.
fun.
So
loving ever
how
since.
did they do cooking from your blog? Were you impressed?
No, they
Did
did
tell them?
amazing.
Tell 'em, okay. Well, we
No,
got him
so-
hooked on a martini.
Yeah, you know, Lindsay made me my first ever martini, my real
Oh,
martini.
really? That was your first one.
Yeah, I never had ordered one. I never really
Sorry.
had, you know, encountered it. You know, nobody had ever even offered me one before. And it
Yeah.
was one of those things that I thought, you know, I just never ordered because I was like, I don't know exactly what I want or what I would like.
Mhm.
And so Lindsay made me my first one. And I just, you know, we were having steak frites that night. She said she loves a martini with her steak. And I was like, well, let's try it, you know, like, why not? And it's just been fun loving ever since because we, you know, I loved it. It was great with the steak, exactly like what she said. And we've been playing and experimenting with them ever since. So
I think it's paved the way. How many recipes do you have? You especially. I mean, I've helped with some, but they're mostly yours.
I mean, I just try to get creative and inventive, and I haven't even counted. I mean,
You've
I'm
probably
probably
done 40 or
at least 40, I would say.
Amazing.
Yeah. I had
Well, loving martinis is like part of my whole personal identity. So I have to know what your favorite is, or if you have like your like what you order when you go out to a restaurant.
Oh, well, Lindsay, you start. You tell them.
I'm boilerplate. I am vodka martini with a lemon twist. Very
Okay.
dry. Like show it
Okay.
the vermouth and put it away.
Yeah, we love that like whisper of vermouth,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Like mimosas,
Yes.
just have a drop of marsh.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
not-
opened next to the glass. And
we
that
don't
was
love
enough.
like that half and half vodka
No.
vermouth or gin vermouth kind of thing.
No.
We like that just whisper. My personal favorite. Well, I'll order. I just recently saw like, well, there's lots of memes out there and stuff, but I love dirty, filthy. You know,
Mhm.
lots of
Same.
olives. If I'm going to order it at a restaurant, if I'm making it at home, I think my favorite one that I've made, because I try to do every Monday, a martini Monday. I go live and I share. But I think my favorite one is the Irish martini,
Oh, that's
which
Oh,
is you
that one.
swirl the glass with a little bit of whiskey, Irish whiskey first, and then you make just pretty much a classic martini.
Oh,
but-
interesting.
The whiskey just kind of mellows the vodka really nicely, and you're supposed to like swirl it and dump, but like we swirl and we dump.
Yeah.
Don't
Dump it down
give
the
it
hatch.
waste.
You don't waste. We're very
and then you
conservative.
put your vodka martini in, and it's really good. So that's what
Oh,
I
yeah. Learn something new. I'm gonna have to try that.
Well,
Yeah, I'll be sharing it soon too. Again, because you know
St.
St.
Patty's Day.
Yeah.
Hilary, here's some of the recipes because I just pulled a small list. There's pumpkin spice espresso. There's a
Mhm.
grasshopper. There
Oh.
was a Lindsay lemon. There was
Yeah.
the classic filthy. Of course, we've talked about. What is this? Grilled hot dog? Was that like a?
Yeah.
Was that an actual?
We threw a
martini
party.
style?
Yes.
We threw a party. It was teenies and a teeny weeny party.
Yeah,
Eating
yeah.
party.
And how many variations of weenie martinis did you make that day, including the hot dog one?
Well, we set up like a martini bar. We did 4 different kinds of martinis, and then I infused a little bit of vodka with grilled hot dog, and then I also made a tomato vermouth.
Oh,
And so we blended those, and
It
we
was
made
so
like a
good.
hot dog, the ketchup on the hot dogs. We made like
Oh
a
my
hot dog
gosh.
martini, and I got like a lot of people to try it. They're like, "Oh, sure, like give me like a sip, let me take." And like as soon as people tried it, they're like, "Okay, wait, like I thought that was gonna be weird with hot dog vodka."
Yeah.
But
We
the
were-
tomato vermouth offset it, and it was so people loved it. Like people were just drinking them left and right, so it was awesome.
Really? Because it sounds like it would taste like hot dog water. That's what I'm imagining.
Right.
But the fact that people are like dying for them.
Oh, there was a line. There was a
Yeah.
line in the
Yeah.
dining room. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
So I
That's
mean,
awesome.
I would say the vodka alone, not that great. But when you mix it up with the tomato vermouth and you made the whole
Yeah.
thing, the whole
Oh,
experience was
interesting.
really good. So
But it was so
Love it.
inventive. Kendall, you knocked that one out. That was amazing.
yeah. If you're ever taking more applications for more friends,
hey, we always have a martini ready for a new
We
friend.
always do. And we
Love
don't know
that.
any strangers. So
No
come
strangers.
over.
Amazing. Amazing.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the cooking recipes. There's designs and decorating that you're doing, the party throwing that you show people how to have the, like martinis and weenies. So,
Yeah.
Awesome. Just no notes. Okay, so I was wondering if your show had a theme song, like what would the theme song be? And like could we write a theme song for you together right now?
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
well,
Mhm.
we do have one as it stands, but we've
you
been
do?
borrowing
Okay.
it. We've been borrowing
Okay.
it.
Well, yeah, we borrow.
Okay. What's the what's the
It's the
borrowed
Golden
theme
Girls
song?
theme song.
Yes, delightful. Yes.
Of
So we
course.
have a trailer we share like before we share a new
Oh, have you guys
week
seen our trailer?
episode,
Yeah.
we share our trailer and it's got that song, and we just thought, what embodies, even at the
Yeah.
time when we made, I mean, that was a
Oh,
while
Uh-huh.
ago. We put that together and we just had become fast friends.
Thank you for being a friend.
And we
Thank
just
you.
thought, what
The
embodies that
appreciation
more?
to each other. Yeah.
Exactly.
1,000%. And that's
Uh-huh.
what's so amazing about the friendship. It's like we had this common interest to build something, but we
Yeah.
also had so many amazing, and we have different things where that aren't in common, but it just complements the other person like
Yeah.
perfectly. But it just was the most natural connection. I'm like, what if this never even happened? Can
Yeah.
you imagine
Yeah.
how sad?
Oh.
So I'm so grateful. But the show just, it was perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, not that
But if you want to
were
write one, go ahead.
asking- Well, okay. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
we
that you
can be
said that
original.
because I have a song here that I wrote. That are you fans of ABBA? Do you like?
We
I
know who
mean,
ABBA is.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Like,
All right. So I've got a song here. I
Uh-oh.
mean, open to notes for sure. But I wanted to, again, this is my interpretation of the show so far. And again, I think we can add to it. It's just a place to start.
I love this.
It goes with, they are a dream team, shaking martinis, cooking up a scene. A dream team. Watch them style, watch them scheme. Oh yeah.
I love it.
He can cook. She's all vibes, making it all worthwhile. Oh, shake that drink, mix that scene. Kendell and Lindsay are a dream team.
Oh, I love it. I mean,
That's amazing. Who's your agent?
yeah.
NFM, baby. All right.
Oh my word.
Let's keep it rolling.
We'll give
If
you-
you
we'll-
like it, yeah, our people can get in touch with your people.
Okay. We will pay you money to have a cut of that.
Yes.
Okay.
That's amazing. Although
um,
ABBA could be really tricky to get some usage rights from, I'm just saying.
Or not. I mean, I don't
Or
think-
not.
Who knows?
They might like it. They might
They
like
might
it. Who
love it.
knows? We'll come back.
It's true.
So one of the things that I really like about the show is it feels like you guys are having a lot of fun. And again, it was a breath of fresh air for me this week. It certainly was helpful just to have to live vicariously through both of you and the fun things that you're doing. And I imagine there's got to be a lot of things that wind up on the cutting room floor as you're putting content together where you're just like hysterically laughing. I'm just curious if you can give us a peek behind the curtain of some of these fun stories.
Well,
I
we steal
mean-
each other's lines all the time.
It's so much. I mean, so much hits the floor that we're one of these days we just have to make a blooper reel,
Yes.
Or a series of blooper reels.
The
Lindsay's,
outtakes.
I would say Lindsay's really good at like she's quick. She's got fast whips.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that's not my like strongest point, being that fast, but we bounce off each other really well. So like she gets me going, and then we make magic. I love when a specific example like.
Well, I love when I catch you in a moment where you're like, oh my God, she's going off. What is she doing? I can sink or swim. We've had a few reels where I'll just start like ad-libbing, and I'll look at Kendall and he's like,
where are you going? Where are you going?
One time we were thrifting in this store, and we were sitting at a table and chairs that were for sale. And so we both sat down, and I just looked over the table and gestured to Kendall, and I'm like, can you believe this view? And he's like, so we just started talking about the sunset and the boats. And we did that at NFM too, actually. We were sitting in the rotating chairs.
Yeah.
And there were bloopers from that because Kendall banged into me. Or, we spill drinks all the time. Or we don't have the camera set up right. So it's like half of my face.
Yes. We have had to reshoot a couple of things because, like, I don't know, we knocked the camera. I have a new puppy, and he knocked the camera, I think, last time, and we got Lindsay totally out of frame,
Oh no.
It's okay though. Sometimes, the only thing we release ever script is how are we going to intro each show and who's going to say it. So somebody always says today on the Kendell Lindsay Show, and somebody always says what's happening. And we have bloopers of us both start talking. Usually I'm the one that forgets when I was supposed to go.
We do a lot of our theater prep where, and then Lindsay kind of.
Hilary will never do this with me. I like every time I am like, hey, we got to warm up.
Yeah, it's important.
She's
Come on,
not
Hilary.
I'm
martini.
Yes.
If we had the martinis in here, that would be
make her martini first, and then
I'd be so warmed up.
She'd be hot, coming in hot.
Well,
next time we'll hang out in studio and sling martinis with you.
That would be great. That would be great. I wonder if we can go back to the beginning. Like, what were you like as kids? Were there any like early signs of we've got the foodie here, we've got like the fashionista designer. Were there early signs of that kind of stuff happening in your lives?
Do you want to go first, Kendall?
I can remember for me growing up, my mom was like, in my brain she was like just as amazing as Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart was just on TV. She was an amazing homemaker. She was always keeping, she kept the house up. She was always decorating for every holiday. She, cooked. We had dinner at home almost every night. That's just the upbringing I had. And so when I was about, I think it was about like 14 or 15, she kind of went through a little bit of a health issue. And so all of that kind of declined and stopped for her. And I kind of stepped in at that point. And, we had family and friends. Well, we didn't have family. My dad was in the military. So we had friends that would like take me to the grocery store, and her and I would meal plan, and then I would shop for the foods and stuff, and I'd bring them home, and she would read me recipes and I would cook them. So that's where my like initial love for food came from, just caring for the family out of necessity, really, and through that and from that, then after high school, I was like, well, I think like I want to go to culinary school and I want to pursue this. And my parents were a little hesitant at first. They were like, restaurants and cooking, and all that stuff. And we had actually just moved again, being in the military. And so it was, and my dad was finishing his military career. And so it was kind of a hairy time. And I was like, no, I think this is really like, I love being creative and working with my hands and doing all of that. And I went for it and I pursued that. And so, that's my kind of origin story, I guess.
Yeah.
That's where I got into food, how I went into food. And then, I went and worked in restaurants for almost 20 years after that. So, yeah.
What a special story.
Yeah.
It's amazing that that you were kind of like almost thrust into that situation where you had to step up and you came out of it loving it, instead of, I imagine some people in those situations would grow to resent it because they have to, but you had a love for it. That's
exactly like, I just fell in love with that act of caring. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it so fun to like feed other people? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Take care of other people through the form of like feeding them
such a
delicious
language.
meal.
It's kind of come full circle a little bit, the way, at least that you kind of position it in your social, your blog, that kind of thing, is like, that was part of the journey of rediscovering your love for food, was like, it is about family and feeding each other. And like, that's where it seems like it started for you.
It's exactly what it said. It's, I went away and I worked in restaurants, but then, that kind of burned me out after a while. And, sometimes in restaurants you have to do this, and every day, and so I kind of walked away from it for a minute, and then I rediscovered why I wanted to cook by, settling down again. And that it was really kind of just right before COVID even happened. I spent that year cooking, and I was like, this, bringing my family together every night at the dinner table, this is why I loved cooking in the first place. And now with the social outlet and the website, I get to do that every day, and I feed my family. I mean, I pretty much cook dinner every night now for them.
Awesome. So
I love that.
yeah. Well, Lindsay, what about you? Your origin story. I feel like we got a whole comic book here that we can put together. There's gonna be a movie.
There better be a movie.
Yeah.
My origin story, I guess I just grew up filling notebooks with my own floor plans and fashion sketches. Like, I don't know. I mean, I was probably 4 years old. I don't know where it came from.
Gosh.
It just did. But then sort of coincidentally, and probably what just continued to feed that and propel that, when I was about 6 or 7, my parents, they were school teachers, but they designed a home that they were going to build. And I was involved with that entire process. Floor plans. I remember in my life, it was floor plans. And I love it. Like, I could show you notebooks full that my mom, every time I go to visit, please take some of these with you to Texas. And so I was always sort of oscillating between, architecture and design, and then the fashion thing. And I just always knew that I wanted to live in New York, and I just wanted to be a designer of some respect. And of course, life has a way of, threading all of these things together. And it didn't happen exactly how you dream, of course, but it's funny to look back and see that everything I wanted to do as a really little girl ended up happening. So it's really special. But I think that's probably how it all started.
That's interesting. Like, I don't think a lot of like 4, 5, 6-year-olds are working up floor plans. And you say, yeah, like, is that not? I don't think
they knew where it was coming from either.
Okay.
Like, when I was 5, I something happened, and before we built the house, and we lived in a duplex, and I got so mad at my mom, and I packed my suitcase full of socks and underwear, and I told her I was moving to the city. And I went next door to the neighbors at the other side of the duplex, and her name was Evelyn, and they didn't have kids, but they were from California, and she used to be a buyer for like this famous, I think it was Bergdorf's or Saks, I can't remember. And she would do all this train travel, and Ed was he was into music, so he had all like the reel-to-reels and the 8 tracks. I'm a child of the 80s, and he was a fallout of the 70s. And she had this fabulous mid-century modern style, and like this pink sofa and these just ridiculous things on the wall. And I was like, I'm just going to be here for a while. Well, she gave me some candies when it was time to go home, but the deal was I had to wait until I got home. So my mom knew I was home safe. Aww. And I ate the candies on the way home, and I got in really big trouble with her and my mother. Now I had run away and broken the law. But she had me back.
Rebellious spirit. We love that.
Yeah. It was also a glimmer into the future a little bit. I'm not a big rule follower.
It's all right.
Well, what I was seeing in the blog and your website and like your social is like entrepreneurial spirit, and just like really kind of like go-getting and like getting things done and like making things happen. And it sounds like obviously as a kid, you were just kind of like, I'm jumping in, I'm going to make this happen. I find that really, really interesting. Was there a moment when it clicked for you that you knew that this was working and this was like where you needed to be in this kind of space of like designing and being in fashion and having all these things together?
Yeah. So there's at least 7 current evolutions of Lindsay that have happened. The current one we call, I guess that's content creation design Lindsay. I don't really even know what this one's called, but that didn't really start until, as you mentioned in the bio, when we moved to Texas, and it became the daunting, let's try and make this humorous task of turning a home 5 times the square footage of our former New York apartment into our home. So
Yeah.
it was a tall order and it required a lot of creativity, but I just started putting that online and it resonated with people. And I'm pretty transparent. You know, if I make a mistake, you're probably going to hear about it. Like when I lit the laundry not the laundry room. I didn't light the laundry room on fire, but I did light the exercise room on fire.
No.
Well, just the paint sprayer, but you know,
It was a small fire.
Oh,
I'm not your DIY girl. I will try and I will fail and you're going to hear all about it.
Hey, I have come on here many a times that we don't all have to be DIYers.
No,
you know?
no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that's in their heart and they love that. And I'm like, go girl, like get it. It's just not my, it's not for me, but I am constantly inspired by those women. It's just not my lane.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's kind of when, you know, I've had 3 different businesses and this is the one that seems to have so far been the most successful. I've, you know, kind of been shattering my own glass ceiling that I've placed for myself just as motivation and, but all under the guise of hopefully giving someone else hope and inspiring them and encouraging them to find the thing that makes them tick. Because I just feel like decor and design and fashion, like it's all fun and games until you try and replicate exactly what someone else is doing. And it's just so like, I think the world sees through that, the consumer sees through that. And I just found it to be more successful on my end from like a monetized standpoint, working with brands, growing the social following, to just literally teach other people how to find the thing that makes them tick. And I always say you need to be inspired to be unboxable. Like nobody's going to tell you that you fit into 4 walls. That's ridiculous. Nobody's built the same way. You know, your job is literally to be the unique and amazing person that you were designed to be. And if you try and be someone else, we all miss out. So that's when it just started to catch steam and work.
Yeah.
And I hope it keeps going.
That
Inspires me daily. I mean,
resonates so much. Yeah.
I love you,
I think
Kendell.
that's awesome.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, like you were talking about like catching fire and having some of those things happen. I've been curious, like when you started that journey and you had like one of the first big ones, I don't know exactly which one, you know, trying to go back through your history a little bit. I don't know which one was kind of the one that like really caught attention, but I saw there was one that was super popular where you were hanging Christmas trees from the ceiling. And
so this is
like there were what 5 or 6 of them. There was a ton of them that you had in this like giant living room ceiling, and it's Christmas and looking amazing. But like goodness gracious, like that was
so cool. They're
I think so there's a few things. The idea and the execution to suspend Christmas trees from our 20-foot ceilings put me on the map, like on Instagram. Like that wasn't a campaign. That was just something that I really wanted to do. And Josh, blessed husband.
He's amazing. He deserves his own shout out.
He does.
Wow.
Thank you, Josh. He's an engineer and he like loves we're basically Dharma and Greg, or like the yin and yang. Like I'm the spark plug. He's like the
so you're up on the table and he's like, get down.
Oh, they actually talked about that when we renewed our wedding vows.
Let me hold on. You make sure you get what you're doing. He's
so
amazing.
That got people's attention. Okay. That and then so I kind of they had the first time I started sharing about those, we had 3 reels that totaled 7 million views. But then in July, I started revisiting and sort of doing a Christmas in July in my own, but like putting a spin on it into more of an inspirational message. That's the one that's pinned that has 35 million views. And it was controversial because people don't understand sometimes something that they haven't seen before. Not everybody, but some people. And, you know, I'm a big, like I said, art history, like the whole thing. And if you're not making people scratch their head, you've missed the boat. Like you're not that you can't be artistic or influential, but I think it's really like, that's when, you know, you've kind of crossed that line, is if people don't understand. And sometimes when people don't understand, they get nasty.
Yeah.
So,
those crazy comments, right? I mean,
it was very controversial, but it did the trick. I think more than anything, I mean, I can't even remember the latest stats. You can just look at how many hearts there were versus negative comments and hundreds of thousands of shares. So I feel like we got the point across with those. But the first successes, as far as like, this is now a job and I can monetize this. My very first paid campaign was with Callaway's. They're a local Texas-based nursery.
Yeah.
And we've just actually signed our second year-long contract. But they were my very first one. Yay, Callaway's. And then last year, Ford Motors reached out about being a brand ambassador. And that was a massive honor. So exciting. I couldn't believe I got on their radar somehow. And I learned so much. So that was really great.
Well, congratulations. That's amazing.
That was it. Those are the two big ones. I mean, there's been a lot, but the highlight reel.
Yeah.
Kendell, one of the things that I thought was, I don't know if it's weird for you, but like this journey of like cooking through the Joanna Gaines book, and then like you wound up like on a cooking competition, cooking like your recipe for her. Like, how surreal was it that you like put your creations in front of her, and she's the one that helped you almost like find your way back into this world of like cooking, preparing food, and having the family connection that seems to really inspire you. Talk to me about that. I don't know. That wasn't really a good question, but I just think it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I just needed to take that time to pause, I think. And that's what that cooking journey was. Like, I needed to find a little bit of structure again, and just, take the time to read a recipe and follow it, and then bring the family together and just have that family time. And it took me, I mean, I was probably almost done with it before I really had that big aha moment where I was like, wait, like, this is exactly what it's about. Like, it was a job up until I had that moment where I was like, we just got to feed, we have to, my mom had another health issue, so I had started staying home again. I was cooking, and it was just my way of taking care of the family. And it was just like, I kind of went into autopilot for a while. And then I had that moment where I was like, wait a minute, like, this is exactly what it's all about. Like, I don't know if I lost it or if I never had it, or I just needed to have that moment again. But it was just realizing, like, we don't just cook food. I mean, a lot of people out there just cook food to survive. But the point of taking the time to prepare a meal, and sometimes it can take a long time. Sometimes it can be fast, but the point of preparing a meal is to bring people together and have community. And so for me to have that moment again with my own family just solidified, like, this is exactly what I want to do. And so I started sharing my reviews of her recipes I just one day was like, okay, I'm going to start a website and I'm going to share this and I'm just going to put it out there. And that just sort of evolved into, after I finished the first cookbook, I was like, well, I have a lot of things rolling around in here. So I started sharing my own recipes. And, Joanna would comment on things here and there, but there was never really a relationship. Like, sometimes she would see something that I would share on Instagram. And then this opportunity came up to do the show. And, you have to submit for it and you have to apply and whatever. And I applied. I actually applied twice. The first time I didn't hear anything. The second time they were like, we want you to come do this. And at that point I was like, what? Like, real, like,
Yeah.
For real? Like, it took me back for a second. I was like, okay. So went and filmed this, cooking, baking competition show. And, the part that I'll always keep is like, she hugged me at the end and she was like, spoiler alert, it's been a while, but I didn't win, but she did give me a hug and told me that mine was her favorite of the day. But,
Awesome.
There's a whole point system. But I just hold on to that little
Absolutely
moment. And we still chat in DMs every now and then now. So
that's awesome.
That's my little claim to fun with her. So.
And those are the same cookies that you and Kendell, you and Lindsay were having the first time that you got together, right?
So the first time we got together,
otherwise known as the friendship cookie.
Oh,
right? It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, I know that you recently took a trip to NFM. You talked a little bit about that, the kind of the bloopers and things that you were doing there. And obviously you're, Lindsay, you're working on your home, and Kendell, I know that you've got all these projects going on. I'm curious, like, what are projects that are keeping you up at night, just like in a good way, that you're just really excited for this year?
Ooh,
Do you want to go or you want me to go?
you can go if you have one.
Well, we're about to like launch into Magnus's new bedroom, our youngest son. He's 13 and still currently living in what was their bunk beds in New York. And this kid's
wow.
almost 6 feet tall and he's 13. And it's like the sideways sleep. And so there's a new custom bed coming and rugging and drapes, pillows. So we're really excited. It's a little bit bittersweet because it's one of the last things that he'll kind of need to walk away from and let go of from his life in New York. But you can't hold on to everything and we have to keep evolving. So I'm actually really proud of him. We took one bunk bed out, left one in there, and we're just kind of like, kids are creatures of habit, and it's comfort, and I don't want to rip the rug out from under him, but we are very excited about
He's
that.
gonna love that big bed though.
Yeah.
I love it. He's got a queen. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be amazing.
That first night of sleep will just make it all worth it.
Oh, I think he's gonna love it. Yeah, and we'll keep it. So we're not painting the walls. He's got the same art, so it's gonna be great. But I'm very excited about. And then this office that I'm sitting in, there's a reason that you're only looking at this cabinet behind me. This is going to be a complete overhaul, hopefully one of which NFM wants to be involved.
Yeah, it's a really cool space.
It's
cool.
got a big terrace off the side and everything, but I'm excited, but that's what's up next for me. But Kendell, I know you've got some fun things cooking too.
I mean, I think something that I want to like pursue more, and I don't know when it will happen, but this is the year that I know, like, I just want to push harder. I know, like, I see so many people out there, so many creators that I love and just look up to, are working on cookbooks. And so that's something that's in my heart that I would love to work towards. I kind of made a little ebook for Thanksgiving this year and just kind of thrust myself into that. And I really enjoyed that process. So it's something that I'm going to be pursuing more this year. Just putting myself out there more this year, and more Kendell and Lindsay Show. We have big plans for the rest of this year.
We are marked out for the year.
We are marked out through the year. Yes. So
Marked out.
Amazing. Good for y'all.
You guys have to, Kendell, you have to link them your Friendsgiving ebook because it is so cute. The photography is out of this world. The recipes are fantastic. So you have to link it to them, Kendell.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Yes, please do. Thanksgiving is like my Super Bowl. I would love to see what you put together.
Yeah, frankly, Friendsgiving is better than Thanksgiving. And
Fair
so the fact that you've got a like Friendsgiving specific book, I'm 100% for.
Yep.
Okay, well, this has been so fun. I have one final quick question for you. Just fire off what you think. The Kendell and Lindsay Show. You love martinis. What martini represents your show? We've talked about the ones you like. What represents the show?
Wow.
Do we do a sweet and sour one?
I don't know. I mean, well, like that martini was actually pretty.
Oh, that was pretty close. With the tahine.
It was a little spicy. It was a little sweet. It was a little sour. You
did it for National Margarita Day, like a margarita.
That was with you guys. Yeah,
that was actually for NFM too.
I think the spicy is a strong component because we do get a little.
We get a little spicy. Maybe that's what ends up on the cutting room floor the most, the spicy stuff.
Is how often we say, or we ask each other, or somebody starts sweating.
Yeah.
Or I'll always inevitably say something off color, which I won't repeat today.
It's just like part of your charm,
Yeah, exactly.
We like to hear it.
And we just like, we love having fun together, and that's just what we like to let come through on this show, And I just think I think every time we're together and we're filming like that, we just try to embody, and I come back to that line that Lindsay shared, and it hit me so hard that I still just hold on to it so hard, is that taking online friendships offline. And that's exactly what we do.
And we would like to take that on the road and go meet up with other content creators aside of the Martini Monday, like have it be a convergence of the two things. So that is our tagline. And I also think that people come for the martinis and they stay for the friendship, because there's just, we love when people give us feedback, but it feels so good that people like it enough they want to give feedback to their friends. It's like how you get so lucky.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, my cheeks hurt just from like
The smiling.
Yes.
That happens
Yes.
to us too. That totally happens to us.
Oh.
Sometimes
Well,
we have to actually sit in the corner and be like, "Do we need 5 minutes of quiet time?"
Well, and
Because
that's
we have too much fun.
that's when the
You're
peak
right.
exercise comes in.
Well, this has been a feast of ideas. Thank you both,
Yes.
Kendell, Lindsay. This has been great. I want to thank, of course, Hilary. I want to thank our producers, Scott and Ann. And I want to thank our listeners. Make sure to head to our website, nfm.com/podcast, where you can submit questions and we can answer them for you. Free advice. So head over to our website. And I think that's going to do it for us for now. But remember, home is what you make it.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hilary Waltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.